Ladies and gentlemen, it's been about a month or so since I posted the original Teutonic Fortress video on YouTube where we saw Yamato, an 1100 player and streamer, go at the Teutonic Fortress for about 6 hours and actually fail to break it. Very spectacular video, and I told you guys that if the video got 10,000 likes and 100,000 views, I would play against Teutonic Fortress himself, and I'll also play the strategy myself on a ranked game. Well, today, it got 10,000 likes and also cracked the 100,000 views. We're going to start with playing against Teutonic Fortress himself, and as it happens, I have him right here in a lobby. We're going to go ahead and hop right in, doing the exact same scenario that Yamato faced with a couple interesting quirks. Let's go ahead and hop right in, and I'll talk you guys through the game. I'll drop a good luck, have fun, and we're off. I'm super excited. I actually can't wait to see what's going to go on here. And I have some really interesting things that I want to talk about just to kind of set up this match, because it's not going to be an easy game at all for me to go up against the Teutonic Fortress. But you might be thinking, well, Hera, if you just scout rush him and you're going to beat him, you know, in 12 minutes, it's not going to really be a game. Here's the thing. This is what we're doing. He's going to get all the relics on the field. I will simulate a scout rush, so I will attack him in the early game. But I won't actually do much damage. I'm going to poke around and kind of keep him a little honest, but I'm not going to do any damage. The point is, we're going to give him the time to set up his base. Drops the good luck, have fun, said the YouTube. We'll give him a chance to set up his base exactly as he wanted it. It's Arabia, the same map that Yamato played. Magyars, the same civ that Yamato played. And so this is me trying to break the Teutonic Fortress in the conditions that Yamato had against it. Now, I have some advantages. I am a pro player, of course. That's the first obvious advantage. That's the whole point of this video, to see if a pro player can actually crack the Teutonic Fortress. That's number one. But number two, I also kind of had a glimpse as to how it works from the Yamato video. I kind of know a little bit about his strategy, but to be honest, I don't know that much about his strategy. It's actually a very detailed strategy, and he said the hills are good, so we don't need to restart. Excellent. All right, cool. No restart needed then. He told me sometimes the hills are a bit nasty, so we might have to restart. But he says now that they are good and there's no need to worry, which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, like I said, I know a little bit about a strategy, but really not that much. If you haven't watched the original video, I totally understand. It's a 6-hour video. Completely reasonable not to watch that one, to skip over it. Although I highly recommend you at least glimpse through it a little bit if you want to get some additional context. But I'll tell you right now what the context is. Basically, he's going to make an unstoppable Teutonic Fortress, obviously, given the name. And he's going to also have a really nice army set up within this fortress that sometimes moves out to either harass the opponent or to clear up some army in a kind of proactive defense style. And the main healing portion of it, that where the healing comes into play, is that he'll have a group of monks amongst this army that's going to be absolutely key in keeping the army healthy and healed up the entire time. It's a crazy strategy, and I'll go ahead and explain to you guys what the fortress is going to look like, and then talk you guys through some gameplay as to how I'm going to stop it. Now, of course, we got tons of time to talk here because, the game obviously will go to like an hour and 10 minutes before we even start cracking the fortress. It's a lot of setup time. But in that time, we're going to talk a lot of strategy, go over what I think is going to be the recipe here for me to win. And then we'll also go over why the fortress is so strong to begin with. There's a couple other fortress styles in the game, but I feel like the Teutonic one is quite solid for a few reasons. So number one, they get the upgrade crenellations, the unique tech that gives their castles +3 range. Now, because they lack bracer, normally they have 10 range on the castle. Make that +3, that goes to 13 range. 13 is an important number, as I kind of just scout my opponent here. 13 is an important number because that outranges any bombard cannon in the game except the Turk bombard cannon, which has 14 range after upgrades. Every other bombard cannon has only 13 range if they have siege engineers. Now, the Magyars don't actually get bombard cannons, which is one of the big disadvantages for the Civ, but even if I did get it, it wouldn't really help me that much into the fortress. It would help a little bit sometimes, and missing it is certainly notable. But I see a scout's low HP here. He was using it to lure the boars, which is kind of funny. But I won't be punishing this, of course. I will simulate a scout rush, so I don't go too far ahead in the boom. But I won't be actually pressuring too much. I might do some small damages here and there, just to kind of keep him honest. He said he's interested to see what the pro aggression looks like. But I'm not going to do, too much at all. And so the Crenellation Castle ends up being a really solid part of this defense. And as I mentioned, without the bomber cannons, sometimes it's hard to break into his Treb defense that he's going to set up. And so what the Teutonic Fortress looks like is it's going to be something like it's going to be one castle, 4 town centers, just to make villagers and whatnot, if I remember correctly. This could be wrong. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. But one main castle in the center, a bunch of stone walls to defend that castle with a bunch of towers around it. 4 town centers to kind of create that, I don't know, monument area for the castle to just appear tall in the center of them. It's kind of a strange layout, but, it does look very intimidating. And then you got the stone wall, the towers, and then, of course, finally, the important part, the defensive units. Defensive Trebs, defensive Paladins sometimes, Teutonic Knights that can come in. So many strong options. Heavy Scorpion, Monks, Hand Cannoneer. Tons of really good options in there. Now, as far as how to break this fortress, let's talk some strategy now, as we are playing the Magyars. Again, the same civ that Yamato had. Well, first of all, let's talk about what didn't work for Yamato. That's the interesting part, right? What didn't work for Yamato is funneling in small groups of units. Every time Yamato attacked with I say small, but like a decently sized army of around like 40 or 60 units, he got absolutely cleared up. If he attacked with 1 or 2 trebuchets, he got absolutely cleared up. Nothing that Yamato went for in terms of small attacks ever did anything. The success that Yamato had in that original video was sending something like 10 trebuchets one-shots with 100 army to defend it. Now, of course, he wasn't successful in the sense that he didn't break the fortress and win the game, but he actually came really close several times at cracking the fortress using that strategy. And so, in general, for this game, that's going to be the strategy that I'm going to employ, because Yamato already showed that small attacks doesn't really work well into this fortress. Now, of course, this isn't new information for me. This might be new for some of you guys watching, some of the more casual viewers, but anyone who plays any kind of Age of Empires knows that when you're faced with such a strong defensive, setup, you don't want to trickle in 1 or 2 trebs and, 10, 20 units, because all that's going to happen is that you're going to, hit the castle a little bit, force a few repairs, which shouldn't be a problem for your opponent, and then risk getting cleared up. And if you do get cleared up, then you're going to be in trouble. And so the main game plan that I'm going to use here is actually just pressuring really hard at 1 or 2 moments in the game. Now, ideally, I would win with the first attack that I send his way. I don't know if that's possible. It might not work. But I do want to win shortly after that. And I'll explain the setup for it later. Alright, so here we've got a Simulation Scout Rush. I'm going to fake pressure here and see what he can do as a defense. Yamato did a fast castle, actually, into a Phosphor Rush in his game. But he wasn't able to really do that much damage, and so in the end, nothing really came of it. So he's securing the stone, he's making a defensive tower. I'll continue pressuring a little bit. This is something that he requested of me, by the way. I told him I'd give him a full hour and 10 minutes, and he said, well, listen, sometimes, having the attack come through and having a successful defense can put the defender in an advantage. And so I said, sure, you know what? I can definitely see that logic. Let's give him a little attack. Just so I don't pull too far ahead in terms of my economy. But then after that, I'm going to transition into a boom. Just a small scout rush to kind of simulate a real game here. So taking a look at his map, he's got some small hills at the back, but this is going to be where the fortress area is. He has a hill here, which I wonder if he'll use the hill as part of his fortress. I think it could be really smart to use the hill, but there's bigger hills around. Hills are important in Age of Empires 2 because if you're fighting on a hill, let's say you're fighting downhill, so I'm on top of a hill and I'm hitting something that's downhill, I do more damage to it. And if I'm getting attacked but I'm on a hill, I take 25% less damage. So you deal more damage and you take less damage when you're standing on a hill. Alright, that's enough scouting my opponent. Let's go ahead and scout the rest of the map here. We will let him get all 5 relics. We are using the same civ as Yamato, the Magyars, which I consider to be a very weak civ into the fortress defense, by the way. I wouldn't say it's the weakest civ in the game against the fortress defense, but it's certainly one of the weaker ones. You don't have the best late game push down the center with Magyars. It's okay, but it's not the best. And let's see if I can crack it. Now, my predictions are... Oh, man. This is a tough one. I honestly don't know if I can crack it. I know that sounds really weird. If this was a regular game, I would win 100 times out of 100. That's without a question, right? But that's not interesting because I would gain an advantage and beat him before he sets up the fortress. But the question is, him setting up the fortress with 5 relics? Full army composition within the fortress? I've seen how good his micro is. He's actually a really good player in terms of micro. And he knows his strategy to a very high degree. It's not a good strategy in the sense that, again, in a real game, you probably wouldn't be able to set it up and it would be a pretty easy win from my end. But it's a really good strategy in the sense that once it's set up, for, you know, however the method he used to set it up, once it's set up, it's very hard to take out. And that is where I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to crack it. If I do crack it, I think I'll crack it with my, not my first attack, but my second or third attack. But they won't be attacks that are separate. I'm not going to do one attack, then wait 20 minutes to do another attack. I would do one attack, then follow up with a second attack right away by setting up my production buildings. So now we're talking strategy here. This is all very important to think about. I'm not going to have gold. I'm not going to have a lot of gold. I'll have a lot of resources, especially food. And I'm going to use that to my advantage by spamming my Magyar Hussar. I'm going to be spamming the units that don't cost any gold. And then ideally, I never lose the gold costing units like my heavy cavalry archers. Now, this is a hard task. It sounds easy to say, like, hey, just don't lose your gold units. But in reality, it's very difficult to do that because he's going to have Siege Onager, he's going to have Heavy Scorpion, and he's going to have things that are designed to take out mass cav archers. So that's kind of my plan on paper. Push with gold units, a lot of trebuchets, a lot of heavy cav archers. Have a meat shield that doesn't cost gold in front of them. And then once that meat shield dies, I'm going to replenish that meat shield very quickly. And hopefully the gold units never die. And so the first wave won't win, but hopefully the second and third wave will. And that's going to be the theory going into this game. It's got a nice tower defense here. I'm going to set up my town centers here. A little bit of a Magyar fortress maybe being set up. And I'll just go for a 4th TC. Immediately as well. So I'm going to go for a big boom, take as many resources as possible because there's not much else to be done. We'll let him get all 5 relics. He'll get his setup. And so this would be pretty much the hardest game that I can possibly play against the Teutonic Healing Fortress. No worries, I'm not going to... He's a little panicked there, but I'm not actually going to attack his villagers here. He's got a couple towers. I like that we kind of simulated a real game here. He made a couple towers and some walls. I made some scouts. And now he's setting up his town centers first. Look at that. 4 TCs. And that middle square there looks like it's random. But that's where the castle goes. And it's so cool that I actually got into a game against Teutonic Healing Fortress himself. Because I honestly think, first of all, I think he's a great guy. Like, obviously I don't know him. You know, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here. Maybe if I lose this game, he's not so great, you know? But I've seen some of his videos and actually started live streaming after the game against Yamato, which is fantastic to see. People really enjoying his content. It's got a nice, great voice for, you know, for radio really, but for streaming. He makes some guides and some tutorials, as Yamato saw halfway through the game by searching up how to beat the Teutonic Healing Fortress and getting a guide written by the Healing Fortress himself. But no, I like what he brings to the table. It's a guy that plays AoE2 his own way, his own style, but not in a bad way. It's in a good way in the sense that, like, he's truly perfected some very anti-meta strategy, and he uses it against other players on the ladder, trying to get a win in the most unconventional way possible. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's such an interesting thing to have, you know, running around the ladder that you might just run into the Teutonic Healing Fortress. And I think it does two things as well. It, first of all, plays on that nostalgia string. I think we all, when we were younger, set up fortresses like that. Maybe not as elaborate as the Teutonic Healing Fortress, but I remember myself, I used to put up bomber towers, I used to put up castles, make my base look pretty. Of course, in modern AoE, I don't even have time to place a farm correctly. I'm just spamming farms everywhere, you know? But back in the day, life was a little slower. We set up the base how we wanted it. We made it look nice and pretty. And yeah, that was just how we enjoyed it. That's how we enjoyed Age of Empires. But the second thing that it does is that it kind of inspires other fortress strategies or other kind of like off-meta strategies from other people. I've actually recently tried the Portuguese economic fortress, and it was a fantastic video, fantastic game, lots of fun. It's a cool playstyle, is what I'm saying. Just setting up a defense and trying to outlast your opponent with a genuine win condition that's just very unorthodox. I love that. It's very cool. Alright, but enough glazing, because he's my opponent. I gotta get myself into the mindset here that I'm going up against the Teutonic Healing Fortress. I can't be thinking that he's a good guy. I gotta be thinking that he's terrible. He's gonna starve my people. He's gonna outlast me in terms of gold. And he's gonna do terrible things to me when I run out of gold. So I gotta make sure that I know what I'm dealing with here. It's a monster like no other on this ranked ladder. I just canceled wheelbarrow. Okay, no big deal. I wanted to check how much percentage it was, and I accidentally canceled it because I wasn't really thinking straight. Here we have a university, 4 TCs, a tower, just to kind of get a little glimpse of what's to come here from the fortress. Another tower there. Multiple towers. Okay, so this is definitely part of the setup. Monastery perfectly placed behind the castle. I'm trying to run away from these towers. He is relentless here, trying to kill me. and guard towers research. And that just shows how strong this defensive structure really is. I ran through, he had no ballistics, no guard tower, and I almost lost my 3 scouts immediately. Now, of course, I don't have upgrades on them, but still. There's a lot of firepower as you run in there. Oh, man, this is going to be hard. He's going to have a castle placed here. He's got 4 TCs. He's going to probably chop some of these woodlands and make some walls, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. All right. Oh, and by the way, just last thing before I forget. He's going to upload his own perspective on his YouTube channel. It'll be posted sometime after my video goes live. And, make sure to check it out if you guys are interested. Check out his YouTube channel. Check out his video. Check out his POV. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see what he's thinking and what he's feeling as we play this match. And all of this is being done off stream, so not a single soul, besides me and him, obviously, has seen this game before it goes live. All right, my researchers are starting to, kind of float a little. This is kind of by design. This is completely okay. I will give him until he's ready to play. He told me around the 1 hour and 10 minute mark. So until then, we're going to talk strategy. We're going to talk setup. And we are going to do the setup so that I can play the game. My setup revolves around a lot of food. I need a lot of food, a lot of wood. I need an abundance of resources. It's actually really important to get that because I'm going to have a scarcity in terms of gold. What he's going to do is he's going to use the market alongside the relics, alongside mining some of the naturals on the map. He's going to use that to gain a significant advantage over me. I'm going to snag one of the naturals on the map. I'm not going to take too many, but I might snag these 2, for example. Just so I have something to play with, of course, in terms of gold and stone. I'll add a 5th TC here. I'm going to stockpile a bunch of my resources now. I'll start getting my upgrades. Imperial Age is not really that needed, but I will pick it up as soon as I can, just because. Let's go ahead and pick up the Monastery as well. Faith, very important upgrade. Well, I don't know if I get Faith with Nigers, but Devotion, very important upgrade. I'm going to have to pick that one up. Oh, and by the way, I just have so much to talk about in this video. By the way, I will play against... sorry, I am playing against the Teutonic Healing Fortress, but I will get coaching from the man himself as to how to execute the strategy. Because I know it looks simple, but I swear to God, he does a lot of tricks with his army and whatnot. And he knows so much about the strategy, more so than me even. And so I'd actually need to learn from him before I can go to ranked myself and try to get a win with the strategy. So I have promised you guys that I will attempt the strategy on ranked and try to get you guys a win. That's going to be in the second video here, the follow-up video. But I need some coaching from him first. So after this game, I'm going to get some coaching from him. And that's going to be the opener of that second video. So I can't wait for that. I'm actually really excited. Alright, so I'm going to get Devotion here. This is a very important upgrade. This makes my units 15% harder to convert for his monks. And I know he's going to have monks in the strategy, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up. I'm going to get all my blacksmith upgrades that I need. I'm going to get my university upgrades. I don't really need any defensive ones, but they could be helpful in case I go for any forward castles, which I could incorporate into my build. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick those guys up. All right. It's not unusual here for me to go to 200 villagers and just stockpile some resources. That is completely standard and completely fine. Go ahead and pick up some upgrades here that I need. My main composition is going to be Heavy Cav Archer and Magyar Hussar. The Magyar Hussar will come out of the castle. It's not going to be the Hussar out of the stable. Reason is, it has a better stat line, okay? One Magyar Hussar is way better than a regular Hussar. It's more expensive, and it comes out of the castle, which is the two downsides, which are the two downsides. But I'm actually more than happy to, you know, to live with those downsides if I get the upsides of having a stronger unit. All right, so that's going to be my setup. Castle back here. It's okay to have a couple castles spread out, but most of my castles will be in the center later on. I need another monk, or I need one monk here. Actually, let's get herbal medicine. It's gonna give my units extra healing. They heal 500% faster when I put them in a building. All of this is, of course, set up. Let's go ahead and get my range. I can get most of my ranges now. All right, we're gonna try to dominate the middle of this map. Try to make my ranges in a nice formation as well. A bit awkward with that hill there, but I'm trying to do our best. Chemistry, siege engineers coming in. All of these techs, very important. And you actually got imp at the same time, which is amazing to see. No faith for me, so the second kind of devotion upgrade, I don't get access to it, unfortunately. But that's okay. He's taking some of my stone here. I can let him have it. I don't really mind. I'll back off from the stone pile. But I'll take my gold piles here, because I think that's fair. I think I should be allowed to take my golds. I think that one is his, though, so I'll let him take that one. I'll take my gold down here. Just to keep it fair for everyone. Pick up all my upgrades. All right. Now, this might seem a little excessive. How many ranges does Hera need? This is part of the strategy. My strategy will revolve around sending an army, losing it, sending another army, losing it, sending another army, eventually breaking it. And as I mentioned earlier, he's taking the gold here. As I mentioned earlier, this won't be done with a lot of time in between. This will be done very rapidly. We're going to get all the upgrades here. Recurve bow, extra damage and range on my Cav Archers. Curvidian army, making my Magyar Hussar only cost food and not gold. Hoardings gives me extra HP on the castles. Conscription, faster working production buildings. All of which are important upgrades. I'm going to get some more castles here. I'm going to start setting up. And I think this is a decent position to start setting up my base. So I'm going to have my castles and my ranges. Still getting all the upgrades that I might need. And I'm also going to tech into halberdier just in case I need them. I'm not sure if I will need them. But just in case, I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to buy some stone here. Stone is going to be very important for production. I'm taking some of his gold. How very rude of me. No problem to go up to 200 vills here. And I'll delete some later. I'm doing the full setup and he's getting his setup. I'm also going to get some outposts all over the map just to show you guys that he is not playing on the map like most other players will be. He is playing only in his vicinity, in his fortress. He's not going to be venturing too far away from that one. And by the way, for those that are interested in this kind of fortress content, I'm planning to set up my own couple fortresses. Not just the Teutonic one. I want to try to come up with some of my own. I've been inspired. And I'll see what I can cook up. I have a couple ideas in mind. Teutonic range fortress is the first one that comes to mind. But it'll be a series of videos where I try to win on the rank ladder with those fortress-esque strategies. I think it's such a cool concept, and I just want to be a part of it, you know? And I want you guys to be a part of it by watching. Alright. I'm getting set up. I have the healing, the herbal medicine. Let's delete these scouts just so I can get up to 200 vills and make it official. Alright, he is not letting me get this outpost, but I really want it, so I'm going to get it up. We're going to get up to 200 vills, which I know seems a little daunting, but it's just to take all that wood on the map. I really, really, really need to take all the wood as quickly as possible. I mean, not quickly. It doesn't really matter that it's fast, but I need to have it all in my stockpile, let's say. Sappers gives my villagers extra attack versus buildings. I probably won't need this, so I won't pick it up. Spies is an interesting one, 30,000 gold. I don't think I'll have 30,000 gold this game, though. I think that's too much, yeah, too much of an investment, even though it would be actually a really nice thing to go for. So right now he's actually taking some wood outside of his base just to secure that he's going to have a good amount of wood going into the late game himself. We're both kind of just racing to get as many resources as possible. Trying to sneak in some outposts here. Alright. Now, the other thing I need to think about is my siege. I think I only have one option for siege, and that's trebuchets. I have siege engineers, so my trebuchets are going to be, you know, quite solid. But it's a very real thing that I'm not going to have that many siege options. I want to go up to 8 castles if I can. Maybe even like something like 10 castles would be nice. I'm making them quite, you know, far away from my opponents. It's getting a little expensive, though. I don't think I can do much more. Got another 100 stone here. I'll buy one more 100, and that's it. So I'm going to have 9 castles. One short of the perfect 10, but that's kind of all I can afford. Buying one more would be, I think, a little hard to justify. All right. 9 castles, 15 ranges. I have all the techs that I can think of. Monasteries fully teched as far as like what I need. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's talk about what I don't have. I don't have redemption monks to convert a siege, so I need to rely on my micro. And oh, I just realized these outposts have been quite expensive actually because they cost stone, but that's okay. It's a pretty small price. It's 50 stone for all the outposts just to get some extra vision. It's a small price to pay. All right, there we go. 9 castles. That's my setup. 9 castles, 15 ranges. Not a lot of castles. I think I'm going to play towards the 10, actually. I'm going to sell off the wood and the food here. I'm going to play towards that 10th castle, just because I think it is worth. I could consider a castle forward with the push, but I'm not sure if that's going to be worth the time. All right. At around the hour mark, I'm going to start deleting villagers and making my army, by the way. This guy will not work for now. He'll just stay here in the back. And that's it. Now we wait. Now we just wait and see what happens. All right, we're nearing the 1 hour mark now, and it's been basically 20 minutes of me gathering resources and setting up. As you can see, I've got a ton of resources. It's time to start getting ready for the final battle, or what could be a 6-hour game if things don't go my way. I'm going to delete all of my wood villagers now, and I will stay at around 100 farms. All right, there we go. These lumber camps could get deleted, so it's time to start cleaning up. Always drop your wood first. And I'm deleting specifically the guys at the back first, because I want to maintain some defensive wood lines in case I need a little bit more wood later. It's hard to imagine that I'll, you know, need more wood at 42,000, but there's a chance. Remaining tree lines are yours. All right, cool. There's a chance I'll need some more wood, so I'm going to deposit off all this wood. I'm going to delete all of my wood villages. I'm going to play with 100 farms and 100 army. That's going to be my setup, because I need to have that consistent production, as I mentioned earlier. So here we go. We're going to start deleting some of these vills, dropping off and then deleting. Dropping off and deleting. Here we go. All right, nice. There we go. Delete some of these. Delete some of those. And we're going to have 100. Oh my goodness, we're creating a ton of army. We're going to have 100 army. 10 trebuchets is going to be the army that I'm going to make. We can customize this. I have... Oh, actually I have 11 trebuchets. 11, so it's 10 plus 1. He's setting up his army, so am I. We're going to go up to 60 heavy cav archers. I need a little bit more gold. Always sell food in late game. Why? 60 wood can be transformed into a ton of food, into 550 food. 60 wood by just farming. So given I have a lot of time, selling food is a lot more efficient than selling wood. Always, all right? We're going to go up to 60 cav archers specifically. And we're going to have the rest go to Magyar Hussar production. The Magyar Hussar will be the meat shield in front. I have 15 barracks that I set up, 15 ranges, and 10 castles. Those are my 3 control groups for the buildings. And then I have 2 control groups for my units, one for the Magi Hussar and one for the Heavy Cav Archer. I'm not going to open with Halbs, but if I need Halbs, I'm going to rely on them later. My main game plan going into this is to establish a vision initially with some outposts forward, see what he's doing. We're going to raid all of the outskirts immediately. That's the first thing that's going to go down. And then I'm going to start my onslaught, my push down the center. Now, how I push will be, depending on what I see, but I have some ideas in mind. I'm going to stack my castles always for the Magi Hussar production, and we're going to get started with the trebuchets as soon as he gives me the go signal. He did tell me around an hour and 10 minutes, so we have a few minutes to talk some strategy here, some practical strategy, because all the theory strategy has been talked. I have my entire setup. If this doesn't win, then I genuinely can't beat the Teutonic Fortress, which is such a crazy concept to even think about, but it's one that could be a reality. I'm very low on gold, so before I go into the fight, I need to stockpile a bunch of gold. This is crucial because if I lose some cav archers, I have to remake them. I know it sucks to remake something that seems so finite, like I'm remaking a unit that is so expensive, it costs me 60 gold a piece, but it's very important to have a good amount of these units in the backline. I'm opening with 60, I could lose some, but 60 is the max you can have in one control group, so that's the easiest that I can, control them with, or the max I can have while still being relatively easy to control. The front line will die on repeats, and I'm going to have to remake it as it dies. And my 11 trebs are going to be the thing that should never die. I should be able to always use the trebuchets and not have them die. If they die, it's 200 gold a piece to remake them. That's very annoying. We're just waiting for the go signal here. So my first plan is, like I said, the outpost forward. Second plan, with my trebuchets, we're likely to pick off some stray towers and open up some of the walls just to make it a little harder for him. We might pick off the market, although I imagine he's got one defensively. We might pick off some of these towers, maybe a town center or 2, whatever we can on the outskirts before going too deep. With our army, we're going to hit and run with the cav archers, trying to trade down some of his gold units. He also will likely have less gold. I mean, he's got more gold than me for sure, but he's going to have less gold than his other resources. I think as far as wood and food goes, he's going to have tons of those because he's going to use the market to buy if needed, and the price is super cheap. 26 gold will buy you 100 wood and 100 food. So trading against his food, terrible. Trading against his gold units, pretty good. Trading against his stone is going to be really good. So I want to trade my food and my wood specifically, which is my Magi Hussar production basically. I want to trade that against his stone buildings. I've got one, sneaky, cheeky outpost in the back, and I can see that he's actually taking Paladin, but I'm not taking Halbs initially. Now, before the actual fight, I'm likely to go down to 80 farms, because I actually want to take a good fight to begin with. It's very important that I actually take a solid fight. If I lose too much of my army, it's not very good. So I'm going to start deleting some of my villagers here. I'm thinking of how many I want to delete. I think starting with deleting 20 makes sense. Just put one back to work. So 20 villas being deleted. That's going to be 20 more Magi Hussars into my comp. I think maybe 10 more, though. So I'd go down to 70 villagers. I think that's the max I want to have. I could go down to 200, or like kill all my villas and go down to 200 units immediately. But that's, number one, a bit risky, because then I actually have no res. No res flow, no follow-up army. And number two, that's a little against the spirit of the defense or of the setup, because 200 army would give me the highest chances to crush it one shot. And I really want to see if I can maintain a reasonable army, like it's a really strong army, but maintain kind of a realistic game setup behind it to try to get like a realistic win. If I go to 200 army, I'm just going to blast into it, and if I win, it's going to look spectacular, but if I lose, I have nothing else, and that feels bad. So I'm giving myself some window of kind of like comeback mechanic in case the first fight doesn't go too hot. I'm tired of staring at 99, so I'm going to sell 100 food. No, it's much better. It's still a bad number, though. Oh, 69 I passed over. Give me like a 50 or something. Maybe a 2,000 on the dot? Oh, unlucky. 51? We're getting close. I will eventually land on a good number. What is this? The one? Okay. We're not finding it. Whatever. He's ready. So, ready? Wow, he told me an hour, 10 minutes, and it's exactly an hour, 10 minutes, basically. He's ready. So, let's just double check that he's ready, and I'm going to send the onslaught. First wave, And let's do exactly what we set out to do. Oh, his farms on the outside deleted already. Okay, so raiding those, not going to be the right call. We're going to send some villagers out here. I try to land some forward outposts. Very important not to go too far forward. I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to open up with my... Oh, he's going to go out of his base here. He's got a lot of paladin. Holy. He might look for my trebuchets. Good micro from him. Just right off the bat. He's got some siege onagers as well. Might have to test his micro a bit. Any gold unit I kill is nice. Oh, he's flexing a little. Hold on. He is flexing a little bit. Dude, this is unironically so difficult for me to engage. Teutonic monks heal from very far away as well. Let me test some of my micro here. Oh, this is not easy. I could heal my units in the castle, but this is not going to be easy at all. Holy. Try to bring the trebuchets in. I need to try to bring out his paladin. I'm going to only go with half my trebs. Going to heal up some of those units. He doesn't have vision of my trebuchets. He's always dancing it in front, so his paladin can just snipe my units. Setting up some outposts. Let's get some villagers up top as well. Taking away some of my farmers as well. Need some outposts. Vision is key. We're going to use 5 trebuchets here and start taking out some of these towers, maybe the gates. I think he killed his own unit there. Snipe the villager, go back. Got a lot of Teutonic Knights behind us as well. Okay, let's delete a few more villagers here. For more of that front line that I need. Halberdiers won't really do a whole lot. Cannons, sniping these cannons would be very nice. I'm gonna engage with my main front line. Front line is replaceable, so I don't mind. There's a lot of scorpions, though. Oh, he's got a lot of archers or something in that castle. It's shooting a lot of arrows. I'm working on taking down some of these walls. Do I dare go for a town center or two? Picking up some of these paladin. I'm always making sure to keep my backline alive. I'm diving into my front line here. He rings the town bell. It's just to test the defense. See what he's got. Holy. A lot of the scorps in the back. I can't kill this tower because I keep killing his walls behind. But I did land a town center kill. Hussars are expendable. Let's continue spamming the Hussars. Let's delete some villagers here. I'm looking at trade against some of his paladin. We're going to do some of the dancing as well. Gotta watch out for the bomber cannons, though. Then he got some of these paladin nicely. Taking big fights here on the front. Landing some good hits, though. I gotta be careful. I don't have the gold. I can't fight this long term if I lose gold units. But losing Hussar doesn't matter. Continue fighting. We're starting to break this Teutonic fortress. But like I said, it's not gonna be... Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I almost forgot about those. I saw them at the last second. I couldn't pull back in time. It's okay. It's just Hussar's lost, though. Look at that healing. That constant sound of healing. It's gonna give me nightmares, to be honest. Trading down some of these paladin. Let's continue hitting some of these walls. I'm only using some of my trebuchets, but I got 6 more. I'm gonna bring them in. I'm gonna be so bold as to bring them in. I really think this market's a bait, by the way, so I didn't go for it. I'm certain he's got a second market behind it. Continue spamming. I have tons and tons of wood. My unit costs 80 food only a piece. I've lost some cav archers. I'm going to remake them. And I'm going to go for the next tower. Slow and steady here. He's going to try to snipe some of these trebuchets. It's not as easy as it looks to snipe these trebs, though. Scout cavalry will not do anything. So me seeing scout cav is really good right now. I'm slowly pushing into this. Oh, in come the Teutonic Knights. This is a good fight for me, though. We're fighting on a hill. I don't see the siege. He's got scorpions at the back. Let me try to snipe some of those scorpions. Oh, it's an absolute mess. I'm only losing Hussars, though. Remember, this is part of my game plan. Oh, he sniped one of my trebuchets, though. It's a big loss. Ah, dude, I'm not killing the siege. This is a bit worrisome, actually. I did thin out the paladin. Like I thought, the paladin, not the scariest unit on the field. It's obviously a very good unit. Dude, that castle's so insane. Fully garrisoned. It's just so nuts. Let me see if I can snipe some of these units. Look at the pace that I'm playing at. Not giving him the chance to really set up. I have the attack bonus on the siege with the Magyar Hussar. One of the reasons why it's better than the regular Hussar here. And I've cracked it. I've cracked it. I think I'm ready to go for the big push onto the castle here. I might be rushing it, to be honest. I might be rushing it. I'm going to go for the big push, though. I've queued up some archers somehow. I'm going to send in 20 villagers. I'm going to make a castle on this hill. And this is going to be the big push, the final battle. If things go my way. If they don't go my way, we need to pack up and try something else. I'm going to send in another pack of Hussar. I should never be 200 pop. I'm going to use a couple of my trebuchets to target those towers on the side. I'm going in for the castle. The castle goes down. The fortress is falling. And it's time to set up a Magyar fortress from within the walls as well. Start building the castle. Come on now. That's part of the strat. That's part of the push. And I think we've broken it. I think we have broken it. Absolutely epic. Absolutely epic. The push like I've never pushed before. That castle is going to really cement it. I bought some stone earlier just for this moment, and I'm going to fully garrison it. It's going to help me against the scorpions. Monk's not going to help him. The pace we're playing at is a little too high. And I have an 11th castle of production. The Trebs are raining down on him, and I don't think he's got a chance. We're going to go in for the monastery, and I'll give him a second to breathe here. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what Yamato failed to do in a 6-hour game against the Healing Fortress. GG, well played. Absolutely epic. Well played to him as well. Probably the scariest base that I've ever played into, I'm not going to lie. And a very, very, very nice defense for him. But we were able to crack it in just around 12 minutes, which I think is pretty damn quick. Made for such a fun... made for such a fun video, honestly. I had a really good time with it. Let's just recap exactly what happened. So you had... Look at the housing back here. Needed to micro my siege honor just a bit better. Let's chat with him a little bit. I think you did well. But the constant onslaught of Hussars made it difficult. Your initial hold was good, though. I think his initial hold was good. Honestly, he held pretty well. But just the constant Hussars is what makes this so hard to play for the defending player. But let's recap exactly what happened. He had full time to set up the fortress exactly as he likes it. A secondary market in the back. I told you guys that he would never leave a market just outside of his gates like that. Full housing at the back. He's setting up a few towers to defend that one. 2 monasteries, a nice gate to defend all of this housing. Couple archer ranges to put some archers, I think, in the castle. I think that's one of his game plans. Siege workshop, stables at the back, barracks just in case you need some halbs, and another castle up top as well to defend that in case I flanked from the top. So really, really, really fun game. That was his strategy. Let's talk a little bit about my game plan just to give a little recap here. I set up all the economy. I had 15 ranges, 10 castles, 15 barracks, and I also kept, importantly enough, enough stone for 1 castle because I knew that would help so much with my ultimate push to just go in with 20 villagers and drop a castle forward on my opponents. I knew that would be such a strong push. Funny that I have feudal archers in there in the end. But the Magyar Hussar that just kept running in and dying, that whittled down his defenses, sniped his siege. My cavalry never really died, and my trebs never really died. A couple of them went down. I started with 11. I have 9 now. And that was, a very nice game. Let's see what he says here. The initial scout rush would likely have taken out my mining camp had it approached a moment sooner. Actually, what he doesn't know is that I wasn't really trying to take out his mining camp, but to punish him early. I kind of let him off the hook there just because I wanted to really get the ultimate Teutonic healing fortress set up. But I honestly think watching this gameplay, or watching this game here, and watching the Yamato game, you can see the difference between a beginner player such as Yamato, but a decent beginner. He's not like... He's actually a very talented player, but he is new to the game. And then you see a pro player handling the same scenario, and you can see the pace that the pro plays at. And I think I didn't really showcase any crazy micro here. I had some decent unit control. I had like adequate micro for the fights. But the main thing that I brought to the table is just the constant pressure and the pace being so high. And this just really shows how hard it is to play competitive Age of Empires, because if you have two pros going at it, this is what we're dealing with for the most part. Of course, generally speaking, there's no Teutonic Fortress on the field, so the bases aren't going to look that, scary to crack. And I have to say, this one is incredibly scary to approach. I had my doubts as I started to break down some of these walls. But usually a pro would just have like a castle on a hill, the other pro's gonna try to pressure him, and there's this constant like spam of units, happening throughout the game. And you don't really appreciate that as a regular viewer, let's say, as an average viewer. But, just seeing this game, you can kind of tell the difference between the pace at the pro level versus the pace at some beginner level. Of course, a lot of this would be obvious to many of you, but it is a nice thing to point out in case people haven't really thought of it that way. So that's pretty much it, guys, for the video. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to take a look at the stats now before we end off the video. But I do want to say I'll be playing the strategy after receiving some coaching from the man himself, Teutonic Fortress. I'll be playing the strategy on the rank ladder and trying to see if I can squeeze a win against another strong player. Won't be against a pro, but it will be against a strong player. He said, we'd like to do a teaching game tonight or perhaps do another. I'll answer that in a second, but I do want to show you guys the stats here. Units killed. He actually killed more units, believe it or not. So this KD is not anything too impressive. I did kill more buildings. Largest army for me, 145. 146 for him as well, which is kind of interesting. I had obviously more food and wood collected, but he's got more gold collected and more stone collected, which is kind of how the setup played out. Most of our timings are quite similar, as it turned out. We didn't really plan that, but it just worked out that way. He has 2 castles, and I have 11 in the end, and I've got a lot of villagers. So that's going to be it. Look at the timeline there to end off. Once again, a huge shout out to Teutonic Fortress, and make sure to check out his YouTube channel that I'll leave linked somewhere. Maybe he'll comment and I'll pin it, and you guys can check out the game from his POV. Like the video, share it with your friends, and stay tuned for me trying the Teutonic Healing Fortress myself on the rank ladder. Let's get a win on the rank ladder with the strategy, as we've taken down the man himself and proved that maybe I need to step in and show him how it's done. But first, I have to learn from him, and that's where I'm going now. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Long live the Teutonic Healing Fortress. It was broken today, but it has not fallen permanently. It's going to rise again, bigger and better, hopefully. And hopefully it stays up when I'm playing with it. We'll see. Take care, guys. Alrighty. Alright. Alrighty, guys. So he just told me he's ready. It's 52 minutes. We're gonna get ready to attack at 1 hour. I've spent 200 vills just stockpiling resources, and it's time to delete some villagers here. I'm gonna delete most of my wood villagers, but not all of them. I'm gonna delete specifically the ones at the back, so I can keep some forests at the back for later, just in case. Alright. Oh, R was a mistype. Oh, okay. Wait, he's not ready. Okay. Never mind. He's not ready. False alarm. Yeah.